Good morning, beautiful audience. I am Clayton here again on behalf of Operation Rock with another hopefully informative live cast regarding victim rights, fighting for your victim rights, and just basically dealing with the nuances and overall BS that you'll encounter if you happen to be a victim which law enforcement doesn't choose to enforce your rights. A little bit about me. For those of you who have been watching me, I am a victim of domestic violence. Have Unfortunately, I am a victim of domestic violence and intimate partner stalking. I have been stalked by my ex partner, a woman out of Staten Island, New York, for about 3.5, 4 years now. And it's a shame that it's gone on this long, people. Unfortunately, it just is what it is. So I have been stalked for definitely about 3.5, 4 years. It's not something that I've enjoyed. Actually, it's something that I have really not enjoyed. It's been a horrible experience, people. I can definitely tell you that right now. It's been horrible. I've done everything in my power to try to stop this person from continuing to pursue me. But unfortunately for me, people, I happen to be a male and a minority male in a system that does not like either. So, despite the fact that I am innocent and that I have done nothing, what has actually happened to me is that law enforcement has decided to directly ignore my rights as the victim, ignore any protections that were granted to me as the victim with a final order of protection, and has done everything in their power to try to attack my credibility, falsely arrest me, and falsely accuse me of things that I never did. Now, it's amazing that I'm sitting here. I can tell you that right now, people. This has been such a journey that has transformed me from what I was into what I am. I am actually thankful to the racists, the bigots, and even my psycho ex-girlfriend who could not leave well enough alone by leaving me the hell alone. People, the worst part about being a victim is proving what happened to you and then having law enforcement work against you because they happen to like your offender or favor your offender more than you. This is what happened to me when on December 1st of 2022, I won a final order of protection against my ex-girlfriend, Francina Evans, out of Staten Island, New York. I try not to say her name too much anymore, people, because the truth is I would like to move on with this. But the reality of that fact is that I can't because my ex-girlfriend is obsessed with me and she keeps filing false and vexatious litigation on me throughout the state of New Jersey using the lower level municipal courts, hoping to circumvent the superior court, which has definitively judged her to be a domestic violence offender. She has been definitively cited to be the offender. I am the victim. She appealed that decision after trial. That decision was denied. She falsified documents to bring me back into court to have the petition dismissed, and that was denied. And then she filed a reconsideration to that petition to have it dismissed, and that was denied. So, people, one, she lost the trial. 3 times the order of protection has been denied. So, my rights as a victim have been solidified and established through this order of protection. So, people, despite the fact of that, law enforcement in Staten Island, the racist Staten Island District Attorney, Michael McMahon, and racist detectives in the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, along with some women in the Staten Island District Attorney's Office who are highly unethical and pathological liars, decided that that would not work. See, as a black man, Staten Island has a history of imposing its will and unjustly arresting and prosecuting black men. So Staten Island couldn't allow me to publicly step forward as the victim, considering that they were backing my ex Francina Evans for months, telling people that I was harassing her. Before this order of protection was granted in this trial in New Jersey, Staten Island was 100% sure that I was going to lose. And they were so sure because Francina was telling them. They did no actual investigation, see, people, because when you're a black man, the cops don't need evidence against you. They just need the word of someone else who they think they can make more credible than you before a judge to totally attack you. And that's what happened to me. So, despite the fact that there was evidence against my ex to prove that she was lying on me, Staten Island didn't care. I won this order of protection, and even though there was a warrant issued, a warrant active against this ex-girlfriend of mine, the day I won the order of protection, Staten Island and Michael McMahon and the detectives in Staten Island, I can't forget those pieces of shit. They're so corrupt. They actually falsified a complaint against me after I won the trial, dismissed her warrant. Remember, people, there was an active criminal warrant against my ex. They dismissed the warrant and they came after me. People, that was a horrible fucking mistake. It really was. So now Staten Island is being sued to the tune of $10 million for a false arrest, and malicious prosecution. For those of you who don't know what a false arrest is, a false arrest is any arrest the police make where probable cause did not exist. Now, this officer created probable cause by falsifying a complaint against me and taking a complaint from a woman who had been convicted of a domestic violence offense literally 72 hours before she filed her complaint, seeking to have her victim arrested. By sheer definition of domestic violence law, that's a retaliatory report. And this officer knew it. But again, people, the image of Staten Island law enforcement was on the line when my ex-girlfriend Francina got convicted. So Staten Island could not allow me to step forward publicly with an actual documented final restraining order backed by the federal government to publicly announce myself as the winner. So what they did was they set me up and they falsely arrested me. So once they arrested me, they put my ex-girlfriend up in St. John's University to give a speech and honored her as Victim of the Year. Now, at that time, people, she was under indictment for numerous felonies against me. And again, people, she had just been convicted of violating the New Jersey Domestic Violence Act. There was a final lifetime restraining order against her. But the corruption of Staten Island is so strong, people, they sought to manipulate the public by the district attorneys wrongfully honoring her, knowing she was the victim. People, the conspiracy against me was so deep, it involved a pastor by the name of Victor Allen Brown. And in this live cast, I wish to announce my lawsuit against Mount Sinai Church and the Church of Victor Allen Brown. I am suing Mount Sinai Church for defamation and slander. Now, why am I suing Mount Sinai Church for defamation and slander, people? I'd actually like to show my audience because, people, again, I am not a vengeful man, people. I'm a man who was horribly violated. My civil rights were violated, excuse me. I was framed. The legacy of my deceased mother was attacked by this same church and this woman who could not leave me alone. And people, it was wrong. So wanting to vindicate my family, wanting to free my mother of the lie that was actually told by this pastor, this man who she basically held him down, people. He had been caught cheating on his wife. My mom came through, the beautiful woman she was, and she tried to protect him, people. This was the nature of my late mother, the great woman she was. She would protect you regardless of whether or not you were guilty or innocent, excuse me. And people, that's the problem that I really had, people. It's seriously the problem I had when this woman kept coming after me. So I am suing Mount Sinai Church. I actually can't find it, which sucks, people. Well, in any event, so my ex-girlfriend gave a speech in Mount Sinai Church. Forget it. I don't need to show it. She gave a speech in this church, and in this church, she accused me of numerous acts of parental domestic violence. She accused me of physically assaulting my mother. She accused me of killing my mother, and she also accused me of hurting and harming other women. Now, I wish to state publicly for the record that I, Clayton Howard, have never been arrested for physically assaulting a woman. That's a lie. I've never been detained for slapping a woman. I've never been detained for assaulting a woman by any type of physical contact. Hell, I've never even been detained for stalking a woman, people, because that's not what I do. Now, I have been lied on several times by angry women because my biggest problem throughout my entire life has been my mouth, people. I am a person who will not shut the hell up when you piss me off. And my mouth, forgive me for stating, in maturity, I have realized it was horrible. I had no problem cursing you out if you pissed me off, men or women. Now, women tend to over-exaggerate that by making it seem like you're disrespecting women by disrespecting them for doing something. If a man curses you out as a woman because you've done something wrong to him cursing you out is not an attack on all women. It's an attack on you because he feels that you've done something wrong. But see, women have become so manipulative now that they will curse men out. And when men respond to them with that same vocabulary, they'll accuse you of domestic abuse. Mind you, all of the things that they have said to you is okay. They may have called you a black piece of shit. They may have called you a faggot. They may have called you a bitch. Excuse my language. These are the things that women truthfully say to men. That when a man responds and calls her a hoe, a stupid, bitch, something to that effect, she will twist that to accuse him of verbal abuse and also not tell anything that she has said. People, verbal abuse now has become so manipulative that it has become in itself its own weapon to be used falsely against people. So now again, people, this woman stalks me. She does all of these things. And people, naturally, I got angry. I'm human. I'm a human freaking being, people. I have emotions. I had just lost my mother. People, I was going through a lot. So naturally, having a woman calling me attacking my infant child, because people, that was done. The mother of my child has verified that happened. Lying through her teeth on me, trying to defame and discredit my dead mother, people. Come on. Why is it so hard for people to accept the fact that maybe I could have been bothered and maybe I had a legitimate reason to be angry? See, people, what I've learned is it's not about justice. People don't give a damn about the legitimacy of your argument. They only care about themselves and the things that they want to accomplish. Now, people, unfortunately, I am a very strong alpha male. I speak my mind. I have no problem. I have no problem confronting anyone. And that intimidates weaker men like Victor Brown, like the racist district attorney of Staten Island, because, see, they were hoping that I was just a dumb nigga. A lot of times, you'll hear that, the white man thinks that black people are stupid. And people, I have matured so much that I don't even think it's about that anymore. It's not about the racism of white people thinking you're stupid. No. It's truthfully about the fact that most law enforcement officials know that minorities are lazy. They know we're not going to open a book. They know that we're going to become so overwhelmed by the complexity of the things that we see when we open that book that we're going to ignore it. So they rely on our laziness, people. They don't rely on us being stupid, because in many aspects of life, minorities, we're not stupid. We're just uneducated about certain aspects of things. And the true enemy, the racists and the bigots in law enforcement, they rely on that ignorance. And in that ignorance is how they're going to attack you. And that's how they attacked me, people. See, I didn't know what was actually going on. I didn't have any legal connections, people, because I don't play with law enforcement. I don't deal with them. They weren't my friends. They weren't my associates. Excuse me. And I wasn't trying to make meaningful connections with them, because where I come from, law enforcement, forgive me for saying this, is historically documented to be pieces of shit, people. They murder people. They set us up on false charges. The police in my community have never been a part of the community, which helps me. They're trying to craft that image now, people, but the truth is they're doing more dirt now than they did back in the day, and they're hiding behind the complexity of the system. So I was falsely set up by this detective, Joseph Quirk, out of the 120 precinct on Staten Island, when he falsified a complaint against me to have me arrested in retaliation for winning a New Jersey order of protection. People, I fought for years trying to convince Staten Island that I didn't do this. But people, they actually ignored me, even though I had a court transcript that proves my ex lied on me. I mean, people, it was in the entire transcript that every word this woman reported to the NYPD 4 days after the trial was a lie. People, Staten Island refused to look at it, people, until I got a paid lawyer. And people, I was so fortunate that my paid attorney, by the way, his name is John Rappaway. If you are on Staten Island, I definitely recommend John Rappaway to represent you in your legal issues. So people, once I hired John Rappaway, it turns out that John Rappaway went to law school with the head of criminal in the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, Darren Albanese. So as a friend of his, as a college alumni, he called Darren, like, Darren, what's up, man? I got this client. Why are you guys trying to set my client up? People, Staten Island is so corrupt. Do you know what Darren Albanese said to my lawyer? Oh, we know who Clayton Howard is. We know Clayton Howard from Gwendolyn Carr. Now, people, that's a whole situation in itself. Because Gwendolyn Carr is the mother of Eric Garner. And Gwendolyn Carr lied on me and had me falsely arrested to the police. Now, see, Gwendolyn Carr is lucky, because at the time this happened, I had no legal knowledge. And the statute of limitation may have expired, so the lawsuit that I wanted to file on her, I can no longer file, because statutes of limitation are important, people. Not only do statute of limitation protect the law and prevent vexatious or just unnecessary litigation. It protects defendants. So if someone can't come after you, let's say 30 years from now, and try to sue you for something that happened 30 years ago, because that's not fair. So because I didn't have any knowledge of the law and I couldn't do this at the time, and I couldn't articulate it legally like I can now, Gwendolyn Carr got away with lying on me to the police, despite the fact I paid her $2,000 for a car that I can prove I paid her for. So my attorney says, wait a minute. You guys dismissed that against him, and my client paid Gwendolyn Carr for that car. He sends him the Cash App receipts and texts from Gwendolyn Carr and threatens to sue him. Now, people, when that happens, the Staten Island District Attorney's Office takes note. What they do is they ask him to send every piece of evidence we have to substantiate that Francine is lying. So guess what they finally do, people? They read the New Jersey trial transcripts, and people, guess what happens? My case is dismissed within a matter of a week, people, and sealed immediately. Now, Francina will lie and tell people that I took an ACD. But if anyone is familiar with Staten Island criminal law enforcement, you know that an ACD requires a 6-month to a 1-year probationary period where that offender is monitored to make sure they do not do anything against the victim again. People, if Francina had actually received this justice, why was there no 1 year or 6-month stipulation on me, people? Why was the case immediately sealed, closed, and the order of protection that she had issued from the criminal court dismissed? People, the reason it was dismissed and sealed is because they knew she lied through her teeth. But to help her still, they gave me an ACD. They should have dismissed it, but people, it was fine. Because with an ACD, I can still file a lawsuit, and that's exactly what I did, to sue the Staten Island District Attorney's Office for $10 million. Now, people, that $10 million is not based on one arrest. It's based on numerous arrests that the Staten Island District Attorney's Office imposed on me for Francina Evans. It's based on evidence from the Staten Island District Attorney's Office where they actually lied to me in writing and told me that a federally backed order of protection, protected by the Violence Against Women Act of 1991, was unenforceable in Staten Island. The woman who did that is an idiot who's probably going to lose her job at the end of this because she directly lied to a domestic violence victim to protect a friend of the office. See, people, that's what this was really about. This was about the personal relationships my ex-girlfriend had on Staten Island. These people sought to frame me because they were friends with my ex. Now, the saddest part about this, people, is my mother, who happens to adorn my shirt, was probably the best female pastor on Staten Island within the last 30 years. And that's not to diminish anyone else's ministry. It's just the truth about my mother, Reverend Maggie Howard. She worked countlessly to help people. She gave her life and her energy to help the people of Staten Island. And people, these same people who my mother bled for, worked to frame her son on crimes he never committed. So people, this is the backbone of the fight I have against Staten Island and exposing the people who framed me. Is that many of them knew I was innocent, people, but in order to help a pathological liar defame me and attack my family, they continue to allow the madness to go on. As far as Victor Allen Brown goes, people, in November of 2023, Francina Evans gave a speech where she accused me of killing my dead mother. That's exactly what she did. She told the court that actually I had, and I would really like to show that speech, people, because I think it's important. I think it's really important to show people how desperate this girl was to defame me and how her pastor, allegedly a man of God, a man who knows that the things that, this man knew my mother well enough that he knew I never assaulted my mother, people, but he didn't care. Because the truth of the matter is that he needed to defame me to make it appear as though I cannot find this video, people. But I guess it's not meant for me to show it today. I've showed it enough times. This man knew me. He's known me since I was 10 years old, people. But Victor Allen Brown, the pastor of Mount Sinai Church, didn't care about that. See, people, when Staten Island dropped my charges in October of 2023, people have to realize that Victor Allen Brown had been publicly supporting Francina Evans. So the fact that my case would be dismissed and sealed was an embarrassment to his reputation because he was telling everyone that I assaulted and abused Francina, that I was nothing but a criminal and a drug dealer. It's amazing how a man who's a wife-cheating thief can judge the past of another man, but try to make it though so no one can remember his indiscretions. People, I'm the child of a reverend who knows for a fact Victor Allen Brown cheated on his ex-wife. People, he's a pastor. Pastors are supposed to respect the sacrilege of marriage. What happened, Pastor Brown? This is the same Pastor Brown who has sexually harassed numerous women in his church, but he's been forgiven. I'm a young guy who made a mistake 20 years ago that he's trying to bring up because he's sexually attracted to my ex-girlfriend. So people, I am suing Mount Sinai Church for defamation and slander, and I'm publicly announcing this because I'm hoping that a member of Mount Sinai Church who's watching this goes back and tells your pastor exactly what I said. Tell him that the war with Clayton Howard is finally going to civil court, that he should have thought much better before he lied on me and before he allowed that girl to take the podium and accuse me of beating my mother and being a diagnosed schizophrenic, all of which was not true, people. Remember, this girl stole a transcript from my father, falsified the transcript, and began submitting it to court so she could make me appear that I was mentally ill and not the person who that transcript actually belonged to. People, immediately after I won an order of protection, this girl filed 5 police reports on me, people. So I have been blessed. I've been blessed with a really good civil attorney by the name of Tyrone Blackburn, who is all over the NYPD. And he has taken my case and all the evidence to several prominent civil rights attorneys who deal with this. And they all agree that I have a hell of a case against the Richmond County DA's office in Staten Island, NYPD. People, I was 100% framed by Detective Joseph Quirk. And this was a massive conspiracy spearheaded by Michael McMahon, Victor Brown, and the members of the Richmond County District Attorney's Office. And I can prove it. People, I can prove that Michael McMahon knew that I was an innocent victim. People, I can prove that Francina Evans directly threatened me with Michael McMahon, calling him by first name on numerous occasions, telling me she had a special relationship with the DA. And if I didn't cooperate with her, I would be arrested. And people, I was literally arrested after I won an order of protection. The case against the Staten Island District Attorney's also is massive. So people, I am here today as a victim who has vehemently fought against injustice, racism, and discrimination. And unfortunately, people, it happened to me in the place I grew up, Staten Island, where, I'm going to be honest, people, I love that place. It's a place I have many special memories there, people. It's the last place I remember my mother. It's the place that she gave her life to make sure the people of Staten Island were free of injustice, that they were well fed, that they were spiritually fed. So people, I have a historic connection to Staten Island, that no matter where my life takes me, I will always support Staten Island because it's the community I grew up. Therefore, people, I, as a Black man who this has happened to, I can't sit back and be quiet. I can't not talk about the Black men who were part of the conspiracy to set me up. Malcolm Penn, Ronti Olagunki, Bobby Digi, or Henry, whatever the hell his name is, the fake drug dealing councilman, whatever the hell his name is. Camilla Hanks, the one who takes drug money from drug dealers to run her campaign. Debbie Rose who lied to my face while she secretly was working with my offender. Now, Staten Island District Attorney's Office, because I know you have someone watching me, you should thank Councilwoman Debbie Rose. Because if it wasn't for Debbie Rose, I wouldn't have realized I could sue you. Because see, Debbie Rose thought she was being smart. She says, well, Clayton, if you think that they're doing all of this to you, you should file a civil lawsuit. Bitch, you right. I should file a civil lawsuit. So upon the advice of Debbie Rose, I began looking at that immediately after her conversation, people. Now, at that time, again, I was a legal idiot. I didn't know how to articulate what I'm articulating now as well as I can. So it was difficult for me to find a lawyer because matters involving domestic violence and false reporting are complicated. Because of the protection domestic violence reports are given by law enforcement. But people, a false report is a false report. It doesn't matter if someone claims to be a domestic violence victim. If you find out that someone filed a false report that got someone arrested, the police have a mandatory legal obligation to arrest that person. You can't ignore that person because you don't want to empower or validate the actual victim. And that's what Staten Island did to me. Staten Island refuses to arrest Francina Evans for fraud, for petition tampering, for lying to state officials, because by arresting her, it's going to embarrass and totally destroy the credibility of the Staten Island District Attorney's Office. Again, people, in this picture, I actually will show you. I actually am going to show you this picture because you have to remember something, people. My ex was honored by the Staten Island District Attorney's Office as Victim of the Year. Now, I don't understand for the life of me how the hell that happened when she had numerous orders of protection against her, people. But that's the power of corruption in a place like Staten Island, where they do not choose to make a victim the actual victim. Yeah, there it is. So I'm going to display this picture really quick just for visuals. I like visuals, people. Visuals are really great. And visuals do a lot to help people understand the situation that you're trying to explain. I've become a really big visuals person, people. Forgive me. As you can see, people, my ex was honored by the Staten Island District Attorney's Office. People, at the time of this speech, she had a lifetime order of protection against her. People, how does that make sense? How does the Staten Island District Attorney's Office honor a woman who has numerous criminal charges against her? And they won't tell you. Because, see, people, the overall objective behind that was to falsely label me as her offender. People, here's the truth of the relationship with me and this woman, Francina Evans. I never hit her. I never tried to hit her. The only reason I ended the relationship is because this girl is a grown-ass kid who cannot stand up to her mother. People, that is a fact. And the Staten Island District Attorney's Office knew it. So, people, the law is power. Knowledge is power. Let me get this chick off the phone, off the damn screen, because I actually hate seeing her face. Thank you. Knowledge is power. And people, I have been on a quest for knowledge for the last 2 years. In my quest for knowledge, I'm not a lawyer, but I've become somewhat competent. To all the haters out there who was hoping I would fail my first semester going back to college, fuck you. Looks like I'm going to finish the semester in a couple months with over a 3.2 GPA probably, unless I do horribly the next 2 months, which I seriously doubt. So people, now with my newfound legal knowledge, I know what to do. And with the advice of these lawyers, finally, the New Jersey Family Court has demanded and ordered Francina Evans to come back to court to hear violations to the order of protection. Because people, again, the truth of the matter is so simple, and it's horrible, people, but this is what it is. And I'd like to show my audience before we end this broadcast. This is the truth of my situation, people. And for anyone who doesn't care to know it, it doesn't matter, because if you are a supporter of this woman, then basically what you were doing, well, you were trying to help her frame me. And I'd like you to see what you were part of, because if I can prove you were part of this, I'm going to sue you too. This here, people, is what's known as a conspiracy flowchart. Something I learned in one of my legal preparation courses. So as you see here, people, this is the conspiracy of vexatious litigation filed by Francina Evans against me. And I'd like to show you. At the top here is the New Jersey Final Order of Protection I won on December 1st of 2002. Now, as you can see, there's several branches here, people, and these are all the retaliatory acts that Francina Evans did immediately after I was granted this order of protection. She filed police reports with the NYPD on 12/5. She filed a violation in Staten Island Family Court on 12/5, and she filed a police report against me in Carteret, New Jersey on 12/5. And people, this is some stuff. When you see the body camera footage of this, she literally tells the cop that she's there to retaliate against me because I want an order of protection against her somewhere else. That's how powerful racism is, that she tells a cop that she's there to retaliate against me, and this racist piece of shit still takes to a court, and the borough of Carteret still prosecutes me, despite the fact that the alleged victim has confessed to retaliating against me. That is how bad racism is in central New Jersey in the lower level courts. But thank God, people, I've become smart, because now they're being sued also for civil rights violations. And people, I'm going to win, because again, if she filed this report coming from Essex County, as you see, Carteret, which is a completely different municipality, had no jurisdiction over it, and they knew it. But instead, because at the time I was ignorant to the law and I had no lawyer, they framed me and they prosecuted me. So people, as you can see here, this is the entire totality of vexatious litigation between myself and my ex-girlfriend, and it's 100% verifiable, people. This is what actually happened. I was framed. This girl was so angry that I broke up with her and I won this order of protection. What she did was do everything in her power to continue the litigation until she received a favorable result that she could use to lobby against me. Now, she framed me in the borough of Carteret, and despite the fact that the Superior Court of New Jersey, determined that I did not lie on Francina, with absolutely no evidence, this Carteret court convicted me of something the Superior Court, after a trial, already acquitted me of. So Carteret and this judge is in extreme trouble. People, there is so much civil litigation and judicial misconduct hearings being heard off of the actions of Francina Evans. I really wish I could show you the damage this woman has done to several people's careers by pursuing me in revenge. And honestly, that should be something that the people of Staten Island listen to, because if you're a councilwoman, if you're a domestic violence advocate in Safe Horizon or the Family Justice Center, and you've helped Francina Evans, you're part of this conspiracy to deprive me of my civil rights. And I'm coming for you, because the truth is this: you could be an adult, you could be a truly honorable person, and now that you realize that there's this much convoluted information and you were fed lies, you could apologize to me and you could help me fix the damage that your acts did. But because the people of Staten Island are so arrogant, because they think they're dealing with an uneducated black man, what they're going to try to do is ignore me and hope over time I get quiet and this goes away. Well, looking directly into the eyes of the camera, Michael McMahon, Charles Fall, Debbie Fall, Camilla Hanks, I'm not fucking going anywhere. And I'm going to expose every one of you who helped my ex-girlfriend frame me for things that you knew I didn't do. And I'm going to do that in honor of my late mother, who thought many of you were good people. But her death has exposed the truth of you, that you used her, and that you're manipulative, lying, ungodly pieces of shit. And I, as her son, will tell you that. So people, on behalf of justice and on behalf of Operation Rock, and the truth of the situation regarding myself and Francina Evans, the truly truly horrible pattern of vexatious litigation before you, all of which can be backed up by police reports, court transcripts, and testimony, I am going to sue Mount Sinai Church and every person who was involved with framing me. And people, again, so you see me, this is not about vengeance. This is about justice. I gave Pastor Victor Allen Brown over 8 months to apologize to me for that false speech. People, he has not apologized. He has tried to ignore me, people. He has done everything in his power to double down on the fact that that lie was told in that church. So since he wants to double down on it, people, I'm going to double up on his ass. Victor Allen Brown, I will see you in court. Members of Mount Sinai Church, if your pastor is truly a man of God tells the truth. A man of God doesn't frame someone else to protect his reputation, people. A man of God doesn't cheat on his wife, people. A man of God doesn't lust over young women and secretly try to imprison or discredit their ex-boyfriends, hoping they like him enough to let him get his small-ass dick wet. No, a man of God tells the truth, people. And Victor Allen Brown has never been a man of God. He's been a pathological, lying, wife-beating pervert who steals from his church for the last 30 fucking years. And people, as a true man of God, I don't have to be a man of God by your definition. I don't have to be fake. I don't have to pretend to be something I'm not. This is me, people. I've been through enough in my life that I know there's a God, people. I found my mother dead on the floor and came back from that. The only person who got me through that was God, people, because I almost lost my fucking mind after finding my mother dead on the floor. The fact that her friends and people on Staten Island would use her death and the lies of this ex-woman to attack me and discredit her, people, I'm on fucking go. And I am not going to stop until the people who lied on me and defamed and slandered and discredited my deceased mother pay and are held responsible for the lies they told. And I'm going to name you all by name: Victor Allen Brown, Francina Evans, Laura Owens, Michael McMahon, Charles Fall, Debbie Rose, and God, what the hell is her name? You know who I'm talking about. I don't even need to say your name right now. Every one of you are going to be publicly held accountable for what the lies you told and the support you provided to this woman who lied to numerous law enforcement agencies in a quest to get revenge on me for breaking her heart. And people, that's all this situation boils down to with Francina Evans. She was a weak, immature little girl who was mad her ex-boyfriend broke up with her because she was too much of a coward to stand up to her mother. People, that is the truth. My situation had nothing to do with domestic violence. My ex was never domestically abused. She was hurt when I ended the relationship. Now, people in maturity, I'm going to tell you something. I was wrong. Because, see, if I had been mature, and hell, I'm going to even say it, people, if I had been more of a man, I would have just ignored her, blocked her, and totally ghosted her, people. But I fed into her bullshit. And the truth is, I fell into it because I cared about her and I wanted her to stop. That's the truth. That's the only time people truly argue in relationships, which I really think is dumb, people. Most arguments are caused because people really do want to talk to each other. They just don't know how. So you sit back and you're arguing with someone because they don't understand your opinion, and they're arguing with you because you don't understand their perspective. If the two of you just calmed down and actually found out what the real issue is, none of the things that happened in most domestic disputes would happen. But sometimes there's one partner who is so hurt that they're incapable of reasoning. And in my situation, that was Francina. She was incapable of reasoning. In her eyes, she was this beautiful queen who could not be broken up with. And the fact that I broke up with her, it was so much for her, she needed to destroy me. So no one believed that I actually dumped up with her, and everybody would believe that she dumped me because she's so pretty. Of course she had to dump him. He's black. It's no way she's obsessed over him. People, I've had women obsessed over me. I've had women pay me to sleep with them for a decade. People, I gotta be honest with you. Not to toot my own horn, but I treat women very good. Women don't usually get away from me unless I do something horribly wrong to them. That's the truth. I can definitively say that every relationship I've had in my life, I've ended except one. And Francina Evans wasn't her. Francina Evans, I'm sorry. And I'm going to make a public apology to her today, people. I should have never dated this woman. And people, I knew it. The God's honest truth is that my ex-girlfriend tells the truth. She knows I never wanted to date her. Not because she's not a beautiful woman, not because she's not deserving of love. The truth is I never wanted to date her because I knew the issues I was dealing with the death of my mother. And I didn't want to start something with somebody I couldn't give all of myself, if that makes sense. And I tried to explain this to her, people, which when I go to court, I'm going to show the judge. See, people, I never was vexatious against this woman. She's lying. And I have finally been granted the chance to prove to a court, not only did I not lie on her about child abuse, that I was not angry and vexatious about the breakup, people. Actually, I was trying to stay the fuck away from her. I sent her, there are literally 175 messages between the months of February and the months of May where I asked Francina to leave me alone and tell her I don't want to be with her. People, there are 175. She doesn't have one where I tell her I want her back. People, I have 175 messages where I tell this woman in a 4-month period the relationship is over and I do not want to rekindle it. People, she doesn't have one message to verify that I was stalking her, that I wanted to be in another relationship with her, that I miss her, people, that I even tried to hit again, people, because I knew the truth. Fucking her would just make it worse. When you want to break up with someone, the worst thing to do is have sex with them. Sex keeps the relationship going. So people, me, I'm good in bed. The first thing I do when I want to break up with a woman is I stop sleeping with her. I don't care if you go sleep with another guy. I don't want to sleep with you anymore. So whatever guy wants, you can have my leftovers. I'm already moved on. Is that right? No, that's not right. Was that mature? No, that wasn't mature. Was I wrong? Yes, I was wrong. Did I deserve to be defamed, lied on, falsely accused, falsely arrested, and horribly slandered? No, people. Just because a man breaks up with a woman and decides to date another woman doesn't mean that woman has the right to try to destroy him, people. That's the problem in domestic violence. The domestic violence is composed of a bunch of women who are past victims of domestic violence. Now, some of those women are credible victims. They've been physically abused. They've been tortured by men, and my heart goes out to you. But many of those women are just ugly women who have been shitted on by men the rest of their life. So what they do is they get into the field of domestic violence kind of as a way to get back at all the men that screwed them over on their lives. You see this a lot with a lot of, and forgive me for saying this, a lot of times in domestic violence offenses, you're going to have overweight white women that are the prosecutors. And they love when they get a black guy in front of them because 9 out of 10, these fat white women used to get picked on by black guys in school. So whenever they get a black guy in front of them, they bang you. Domestic violence is horribly, horribly flawed and incredibly biased against male victims of domestic violence. It does not matter if you're black, but being black is something that definitely goes against you. They do it to everybody. They do it to white guys. They do it to Chinese guys. They do it to Puerto Rican guys. But if you're a minority, your experience is going to be 1,000 times worse than if you weren't. And that's the truth. So in today's live cast, people, again, I advocate for the victims of domestic violence, the true victims, the victims who have been totally disregarded and completely unprotected by law enforcement, the victims who have been framed by law enforcement, the victims who have been slandered by law enforcement, the victims who law enforcement has launched conspiracies against you to deny you your victim rights. I represent you. I represent everyone who has ever been lied on by a police officer, by a detective. And people, my situation might not have cost me 20 or 15 or 10 or 5 years in jail, but it doesn't mean it's not significant as those men who were falsely accused and who were falsely imprisoned. I may have only spent a couple of nights in jail, but no one should have to spend a night in jail for something they did not do, that a prosecutor can prove they didn't do. But just to validate their own career goals, they continue to allow you to suffer because they don't want to tell the truth. In fairness, the prosecutor, a prosecutor's job is not to make sure you're guilty. I mean, you're innocent. A prosecutor's job is to make sure that you're guilty. But the prosecutors are held to ethical standards that if they know you're innocent, and there's what's called exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory evidence is evidence that exonerates a defendant from a crime. A prosecutor has a mandatory obligation to present that exculpatory evidence, not bury it, not ignore it, and damn sure not try to misuse it. And these are what prosecutors tried to do to me. So people, in my legal pursuit of in just submerging myself in books, I have learned how to fight my offenders. And I'm here for anyone else who wants to learn how to fight your offender. If you've been lied on, if you have an order of protection, if someone is stalking and harassing you and you are completely unable to use the order of protection because law enforcement is failing in their responsibility to enforce that order, I'm your guy to come see. I have no problem helping you. Many of you do reach out to me, and I am a wealth of information who has no problem pouring into another brother or sister to help you fight the corruption that I have been fighting. So on behalf of Operation Rock, this is Clayton, and this is my initiative. If you have ever been a victim who has been falsely portrayed as an offender, even though you won the right of the court, If you've been lied on by racist detectives, if you've been defamed by a jealous, bitter ex-girlfriend who you have decisive and definitive proof can prove lied on you, let me be your advocate with you. Let me fight for you. Let me figure out how to stop the agencies and stop the officials who are lying on you. Because people, the only way to stop the injustice and the broken mechanisms in law enforcement with regard to domestic violence is to begin to hold the officials accountable and the false reporters. It's not just enough to arrest the false reporters. You have to charge the police officers who falsify reports. You have to have ethics hearings on the district attorneys who hide exculpatory evidence and falsify evidence to get illegal convictions against innocent people. You have to attack the system that is burying the fraud and the corruption of their officials and denying victims their rights. And that's my initiative. So again, people, on behalf of Operation Rock, on behalf of a mother whose mission was social justice and the rights of people and the right and just the belief that God can make all things work, this is my mission. I'm not perfect, people. I'm a little rough around the edges. Yeah, I've been through some stuff. But people, you know something? I'm truthful. I've been through the truth. I've been horribly lied on. I've been horribly defamed. People, I never abused my ex-girlfriend. I should not be labeled as a domestic violence abuser when the truth of the matter is that I am the trial-ordered victim and Francina Evans is the offender. She's not a victim. There should be no GoFundMe where people are donating to her. People, she's a fucking victim who has been denied an appeal in numerous attempts to dismiss the order of protection. People, you just saw the chart. The girl is stalking me all over the state of New Jersey. How the fuck is she a victim? People, she's not. And until the bias and racism in law enforcement accepts it, I'm just going to keep filing lawsuits. So this week it's Mount Sinai Church. Victor Allen Brown. This is Clayton Howard, the son of Maggie Howard, the woman who backed your credibility after you cheated on your wife and stole from your church. You dishonorable, unethical piece of shit pastor. I am filing civil litigation against you and your church for the speech that you allowed to give Francina Evans to give, where she lied and defamed myself and my mother. I am filing civil action against you from every public statement and every public appearance that you have made with Francina Evans, helping her push that bullshit breaking up is not a crime that you knew was a lie. You are a complete piece of shit, victim Allen Brown. You are a pathological liar. You should not sit on the board of Staten Island University Hospital, you pedophile, you wife-cheating, lying piece of shit. That's what you have always been. You have always had a reputation for attacking or pursuing young women, and everyone knows it. And Victor Allen Brown, this is my mission before God. I am going to expose you. You wronged the wrong man, Victor. You lied on the wrong woman when you lied on Maggie Howard, and I am her justice. People, on behalf of my late mother, I am an advocate against civil injustice and domestic violence, who has been horribly wronged by Victor Allen Brown, Michael McMahon, the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, and the NYPD, who falsified complaints against me to make me an offender, despite the fact that I won a trial-ordered order of protection against Francina Evans. They publicly framed me. They framed me within the courts, and they tried to create a narrative to discredit me, knowing that I had been made credible by the order of a judge in a superior court in New Jersey. People, that's wrong, that's discrimination, that's fraud, and that's racism. And Michael McMahon and Victor Brown, you will be held to account for it. I'm not going away. I'm not going to shut up, and I'm never going to stop until you are held to account for the evil things that you have not only done to me, Michael McMahon, but that you have done to dozens of minorities by falsely prosecuting them for things that your office knew they were innocent of. On behalf of Justice People and Operation Rock People, thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned. People, my last broadcast was about the slave patrols that began in the South. People, these slave patrols used to falsely arrest minorities for bullshit laws that white people made just to dominate black people. People, how do you think those illegal prison sentences and arrests were substantiated? By corrupt prosecutors, people, by local prosecutors who were part of the process of denying black people their civil rights. People, the slave patrols and the cops weren't only the problem, people. The cops are a small part of the equation. The cops only detain people. Excuse me. The prosecutors are the one who falsely convict people. So people, it's a whole conspiracy, people, and it starts with the cops. The cops, the prosecutor, the judges. How can a minority get a fair shake if literally the cops The prosecutors and the judges are all in a conspiracy to deprive you of your legal rights. People, there's no way you can. And that's what Staten Island and Michael McMahon tried to do to me, hoping that I was so weak and ignorant and emotional that they would be able to falsify this complaint against me and jam me up on a trap. But they fucked up, people. This fox got out the trap, and this lion is going to bite their fucking heads off and expose them for the pieces of shit they are. People forgive their profanity, but I mean no disrespect by it. People, I'm a New Yorker, and the truth is this is something that I'm incredibly passionate about, people. I spent numerous nights in a dirty jail cell for something I didn't do because I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. In truth, not even because I hated her, because I wanted her to stand up to her mother. So because she couldn't stand up to her mother, she tried to destroy my life, people, and law enforcement will take no action against her because to expose what she actually did exposes the corruption of the office. So people, what's the only method that a private citizen has to hold these people who work in law enforcement accountable for violating my civil rights? Federal civil lawsuits. And that's exactly what the Staten Island District Attorney's Office is experiencing right now. See, people, they arrested me for a crime that they absolutely had no jurisdiction over. And people, once this is over, I am going to become the loudest and strongest and most outspoken advocate against Michael McMahon and anyone who had anything to do with this. This is about justice, people. It's not about vengeance. And justice comes to he who is patient and he who waits for the morning. The morning is here, Michael McMahon, and you're going to answer. On behalf of Justice and Operation Rock, Victor Brown, I will see you in court. Ladies and gentlemen, fight for your rights. Never let the weight of law enforcement, the weight of corrupt officials, and the weight of people who want to work against you stop you if you are telling the truth. The truth has an amazing power, people, and no amount of deception, no amount of corruption, no amount of injustice is going to be able to bury the truth. Eventually, the truth always floats to the top, people, and you wait on it. You wait on the buoyancy of the truth. And eventually you're going to see, like I see, that the truth always wins. On behalf of Justice and Operation Rock, people, again, this is Clayton. Enjoy your morning.